Ladies and gentlemen, shalom to everybody in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Listen, Donald Trump has come out and admitted he knows exactly what Project 2025 is, and he's been implementing it the whole time he's been in office. This is why you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, he's way different from when he was in office the first time. Yeah, because Project 2025, he was just trying to get through his presidency the first time. And the second time around, now you got Project 2025 is already implemented. During the shutdown, Donald Trump is meeting with people, including the author of Project 2025, to see what they can get done during the shutdown. So they're still doing it behind the scenes. He didn't admit it then because Donald Trump was in fear of losing the election if he would have admitted it. So, hey, he's in there now. And 2025, Project 2025 is alive and well. So he's not ashamed now that he is the sitting president to let everybody know that, yeah, he knows what it is. And he knew what it was when he was on the campaign trail. He's just really good at lying, isn't he? Well, just as a reminder, after this, I'm setting up another live stream because you know what, y'all? The rapture didn't happen on October 6th. So we're going to talk about that maybe like around 6 o'clock. We'll talk about the rapture that once again never happened. I guess some people never learn. All right, so let me see. I'm going to share my screen because some of this you're going to hear in Donald Trump's own words. Here we go. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Shalom, Kid Gravity. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right.
Does anybody remember that one thing called Project 2025? For those of you who don't remember, allow me to jog your memory banks. Project 2025 was a fear campaign that Democrats and biased media were running with for half of 2024. They all tried to convince us that Project 2025, they're not talking about it now because they're embarrassed of it, was something that Donald Trump was going to run with. And if he became president, he was going to implement it and he was going to destroy America. In fact, I think Project 2025 was something that the liberal left just made up, just to see if they can get something that would stick to Donald Trump.
That video was made around 7 months ago, and oh boy, it did not age well. Now, I want you to leave a comment below or raise your hand if you remember being called a fearmongerer during the election cycle for talking about 2025. I want you to continue raising your hand if you specifically remember Donald Trump tweeting out July 24th, 2024, I have nothing to do with and know nothing about Project 2025. The fact that I do is merely a disinformation campaign put out by the radical left Democrat thugs. Do not believe them. Signed DJT. The gaslighting from you guys is absolutely insane. And I'm not even going to read this whole thing right now because I know you guys have already seen it. It is hella viral. But as most of us already know, Donald Trump tweeted out today, October 2nd, that he has a meeting with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the Democrat blah, 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 blah. He's admitting he knows not only who the author of 2025 is, but he is working with him. He's understood Project 2025 this whole entire time, yet he only lied to you because he specifically knew moderates, independents, fence-sitters would not have voted for him if he championed Project 2025, because the majority of the country knew that what was inside the document of Project 2025 was so abhorrent, it was unpopular. But anyways, I just want to leave you with this final thought. If your president is willing to lie to you literally about absolutely anything or things of this magnitude, what else is he willing to lie about? I.e. the fucking Epstein files. Anyways, my name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow. You won't see my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
As you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Donald Trump wanted the government to shut down because now what he is doing is using Russ Vought, the architect of fucking Project 2025, to decide what is a critical to fund fucking government service while the government's closed, which is also going to lead to the firing of thousands of Americans from their jobs. Schittler posted this on his Truth Social platform a little while ago. I have a meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, but I thought this administration didn't know what Project 2025 was. You mean to tell me you lied? Who would have fucking thought? To determine which of the many Democrat agencies, now mind you, there is no Democrat agencies within our government, most of which are a political scam. You tell me what department is a political scam. This motherfucker just wants to destroy anything and everything he can get his grimy, tiny, little orange fucking fingers on. He doesn't care about you. He don't care about those dumb motherfuckers that thought he gave a shit about them. Do you want to know who's going to be hit hardest by all of the healthcare cuts the Republicans have shut the government down over? Republican state voters. Republican voters in states that didn't expand Medicaid. The poorest Republicans in Republican states signed up at record rates in 2021 for Obamacare when these subsidies were increased that they are now doing away with. In fact, it doubled enrollees in red states when it expanded because people want health care. And those are the same people that are going to see their health premiums double and triple this month when open enrollment starts. People are going to see this. And the only person you can blame is the Republican Party and Donald Trump, because they're the ones that cut all of that funding for this program that more Republicans use than anybody else. Way to own the libs. Make America healthy again by stripping the poorest Americans of their health care. America, fuck yeah. Give Elon Musk all the money and subsidies though. But please tell me more about how we should be patting the pockets of Bezos and Elon Musk and all of these fucking billionaires that we are fucking providing welfare queen subsidies so that their businesses can operate. But increase my taxes, right? Fuck you.
Hi, everyone. I had a couple of people comment on my Trump meeting Russ Vought video that I did today, and a couple of people that messaged me asking me to explain to them further what Project 2025 actually is and what it means for us. So it gave me the idea to do this video. So let's talk about what Project 2025 is and what it means for us. Project 2025 isn't just a plan anymore. It's the operating manual for this administration. It was written by Russ Vought, Trump's former budget director, and built out by the Heritage Foundation and more than 70 right-wing organizations. Together, they call it a presidential transition project. But what it really does is lay out exactly how to rebuild the federal government around the presidency itself. The blueprint calls for firing up to 50,000 career civil servants, the people who keep agencies functioning no matter who's in office, and replacing them with political loyalists. It rewrites the structure of power so that agencies like justice, education, labor, and the EPA don't serve the public anymore. They serve the executive. The legal trick is something called Schedule F, a reclassification that lets the president remove whoever isn't aligned with his priorities. That means scientists who publish inconvenient data, regulators who enforce safety rules, and analysts who push back on corruption can all be replaced overnight. And it's not a theory. We're already watching it happen. The government shutdown fight. It's the test run for how far they can go. Trump met with Russ Vought today, the man who wrote Project 2025, to decide which federal agencies should stay closed for good. He even called the shutdown an unprecedented opportunity. That's the strategy. Use crisis to shrink the system, then rebuild it in your own image. Funding freezes, firings, agency consolidations, all matching the timelines laid out in the Project 2025 handbook. Every week that this continues, more power gets pulled upward and less remains in the hands of experts, judges, or Congress. What this means for us is that every safeguard built to outlast any one president, the independence of the courts, the neutrality of science, the right to organize, the separation of church and state, all of it is being recoded into loyalty tests. If Project 2025 reaches its end game, the next administration won't have to take power. It will already have it baked into the system. So when people say this is about deconstructing the administrative state, that's the polite version. The real version is this. It's the methodical transfer of public power into private hands dressed up as reform. And the reason it matters now is because it's happening quietly through budgets, memos, and staffing decisions most people will never read. That's how democracies change shape, not with explosions, but with edits. And here's what to watch for next. Project 2025's next phase is about permanence, locking these changes in so that they can't be undone by future administrations. We're already seeing a lot of these happen already, but keep watching and continue to watch for these next. Expect to see more agency mergers, especially between departments that control data, surveillance, and education. Expect expanded acting positions that never go through Senate confirmation. Expect faith-based mandates pushed into public policy, especially in education and healthcare, and expect them to call it streamlining. That's the trick. Use the language of efficiency to hide the machinery of control. This isn't about governing anymore. It's about rewriting the definition of government itself. And if the public doesn't start paying attention, this won't end with Project 2025. It will end with a system built to outlive the people who created it. That's not reform. That's replacement. And if you're wondering when democracy ends, it's not on some distant date. It's in moments like this, when the edits start to look like the plan. I'll be breaking this story down even further on my Substack and Patreon. I'll be doing a deeper dive about Project 2025 over there. It's free to subscribe. Link is in the bio. Have a good evening. Thanks.
Okay, so this is breaking news, but Donald Trump just confirmed that Project 2025 was in fact the plan all along. Basically, in the tweet behind me, he's bragging about working with one of the authors of Project 2025. I have a meeting today with Russ Vought. He is a Project 2025 fame to determine which of many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut and whether or not those cuts, blah, 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 blah. Basically, I'm working with the guy that did 2025. Yes, he is my boy. Now that we have the confirmation that this is the plan for America, let's just go over again what Project 2025 says. Eliminate the Department of Education. Use public funds to pay for private religious schools. Encourage Christian indoctrination through public school. Dismantle civil rights and DEI protection. Eliminate no-fault divorce. Total ban on abortions regardless of viability or health of the mother. Ban all contraceptive. Ban African American and gender studies on all levels of education. Tax cuts for major corporations and 1% while increasing taxes on the rest. Eliminating unions and all worker protection. Eliminating all climate protection. Encourages Arctic drilling. Eliminating regulations on big business and oil. Raise the retirement age. Eliminate Social Security for the elderly and disabled. Promote capital punishment. Condemn single mothers while encouraging traditional family. Only recognize traditional families by overturning Obergefell versus Hodges. Dismantle the FBI and Homeland Security. Use of military to break up protests. Eliminating Head Start and free school lunch programs. Banning books. Force immigrants to be held in camp. Ban Muslims from entering the country. Dismantle the FDA, EPA, NOAA, and more. Pack the Supreme Court with extreme far-right judges. If you voted for Trump, that's what you're voting for, right? And most of that stuff has already happened. So now we know, prepare, study Project 2025, and do what you can to survive.
Well, Donald Trump has dropped the act and he is now totally embracing Project 2025. Remember during the campaign when he said he had no idea what Project 2025 was or who was involved, and it had nothing to do with his campaign? Well, now Donald Trump is saying that he is going to use the shutdown to implement Project 2025. Trump today wrote, I have a meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. President DJT. And let's just take a look at Donald Trump's post on July 5th, 2024, when he wrote, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. And I just want to say, shame on the legacy media for believing that crap and regurgitating Donald Trump's lies. We all knew. All of us knew. Yet the media defended him every step of the way. You had headlines like this in the USA Today. Fact-checking Kamala Harris. Harris repeats claim that Project 2025 is Trump's plan. That's still not right. Democrats have sought to tie former President Donald Trump to Project 2025 in recent months, and Tuesday's debate between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris was no exception. Harris described Project 2025 as a detailed and dangerous plan that she claimed Trump intends on implementing if he is elected to a second term. She referred to it as his Project 2025, but in the debate and elsewhere, Trump has claimed he has nothing to do with Project 2025. And then in interviews, they would constantly also try to fact check Kamala Harris about Trump's association with Project 2025. Here was Norah O'Donnell on CBS.
Just read Project 2025.
The former president said that's not true.
He says everything. Come on, are we really taking his word for it?
And well, once again, Kamala Harris was right. Here's the Project 2025 tracker. As you could see, Project 2025 has already been nearly 50% implemented during Donald Trump's term. And I think this is yet another reason why so many people have lost faith in the legacy media. And if you want independent reporting that actually tells it how it is, that doesn't believe everything that Donald Trump says, I want you to follow the Midas Touch podcast right now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review if you can, and join us on Substack at MidasPlus.com. Spread the word. I'll see you soon.
Some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. They are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme, but I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. Project 2025, I've said 100 times. I know nothing about it. I had nothing to do.
President Donald Trump is now openly embracing the conservative blueprint he desperately tried to distance himself from during the 2024 campaign.
Project 2025. I've never read it. I don't want to read it because that way I can be honest with you. I don't want to read it.
In a post on his Truth Social site Thursday morning, Trump announced he would be meeting with his budget chief, quote, Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to discuss which federal agencies should be cut and whether the cuts should be permanent. Trump's comments represent a dramatic about-face after he and his campaign spent much of last year denouncing the massive proposed overhaul of the federal government that was drafted by many longtime allies and current and former administration officials.
And they come up with this, I don't know what the hell it is. It's Project 25. He's involved in Project. And then they read some of the things and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme.
Since his swearing in, Trump has been pursuing plans laid out in Project 2025 to dramatically expand presidential power and reduce the size of the federal workforce.
So Republicans shut down the government, and what is Donald Trump doing to get it back up and running? Well, he's up late at night sharing AI-generated videos again, and this time he took one of my favorite songs from Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper, and they put it in this AI video where they depict Russ Vought from Project 2025 as the Reaper, and then J.D. Vance and Trump is playing along. Trump's playing cowbell and Vance is playing the drums, and Russ Vought is the Reaper. No, folks, I'm not making this up. I'm going to play you the clip. I've got the audio muted for copyright reasons. They completely bastardized a classic song in this video, but you can read along to the lyrics, and what they're saying is the power in Washington, D.C. is gone. Russ Vought is the Reaper. Take a look at this. This is insane. Folks, the President of the United States, while the government was shut down, was sharing crap like that. And after saying on the campaign trail that he had nothing to do with Project 2025, he is now full-chested embracing it, just like we knew he was going to do. He posted this, and I shared this the other day in a video, but we're going to read it again. He put this out, and he said, I have a meeting today with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to
So Trump has just confirmed that Project 2025 is indeed his plan for the Department of Education. I'm going to go over all the pieces this week. There is a lot to go through. It's really going to depend on what state that you're in and whether or not your state can afford to risk losing federal funding if they don't adhere to the guidelines. The biggest thing he's going to do is allow corporations of his choosing to go into our school system to harvest labor directly out of. And I'll go over all that. He's going to take away teacher tenure and any employment protections they have as of right now. Now, how is this going to work with the corporations? Well, they are getting rid of IEP and 504 plans. So if your child needs any of those things to learn, well, they won't be available and they will be sent into a special program that the corporations will be providing so that they can make sure that those kids that come out of the school are skilled in specific areas for their corporations. So they do this in other authoritarian countries all the time. So it's not that hard to implement. Once you defund schools to a level that they could only teach certain kids that learn a certain way, the rest are sent into these corporate programs. And so we'll see what corporations he chooses. And he's going to require that teachers and students all pray in school to whatever they decide they want you to pray to. Good luck with that.
During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide.
During the campaign,
here's a terrifying fact about good old Project 2025. More than a third of its objectives are already completed. Quick reminder, President Trump said about it just last year, I know nothing about Project 2025, and I have nothing to do with Project 2025, which is ironic because a ton of these objectives were implemented on day one with a slew of executive orders he signed. Here's another fun fact. There are right now 20% of its objectives currently in progress, which means almost 60% of Project 2025 is either completed or in the works. We here at Viral Information are deeming October Project 2025 Exposure Month, and each day will tell you what's been completed, what's happening right now, and what objectives haven't begun yet, agency by agency. We'll also be noting which of these were signed directly by executive order. Surely a coincidence since President Trump knows nothing about Project 2025. Stay tuned while we uncover what a conservative think tank is remaking your government into. This has been Viral Information, and there's more where that came from.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians.
Well, y'all, let me just throw another thing out here. I heard, because you know Donald Trump is trying to get rid of our history, and I heard that during this shutdown, he is taking out a lot of things from the Black Smithsonian, which I'm not shocked. If you remember, about a month ago, he had his attorneys and people walk through to decide which displays and which things must come down. Well, I'm hearing the stuff is coming down behind the scenes during the shutdown. So he doesn't want anybody to know any of the things that we have done, our forefathers have done, and foremothers in history. So they're erasing it as we speak. So I'm not surprised, but it's a lot of dirt going on during this shutdown, y'all. And when things are back up and running, you're going to see the carnage that has happened. Now, Donald Trump wanted to get rid of 1.9 million federal workers. Now, I would not be surprised if this is already happening. I did read an article a few days ago that some on his team are trying to convince him not to fire people during the shutdown. But we know how Donald Trump operates. He doesn't care, nor does he take the advice of other people. He will just do this. You'll find out about it in the coming weeks as people come online and tell you that they got fired during the shutdown. So we shall see, but it's a lot of things going on, and I guess we'll see the real damage really soon. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Please return back at 6 o'clock because I intend on talking about another rapture that never happened. So they said October 6th. This is the 7th, and nobody has been raptured. So some of them, I guess, are still trying to hold on for hope. And they're saying, well, it is the 7th, but it's not evening yet. And there are some that claims there's going to be 3 days of darkness. Now, the sun was out earlier today, but it's a little cloudy now because we're getting rain tomorrow, but it's definitely not darkness. Okay. It's just cloudy and overcast, but it's still daylight out there. So, I mean, these people are a trip. So I hope to see you all back at 6 o'clock. So I'm going everybody, please enjoy the rest of your evening if you're not coming back, but I hope you all do come back so we can get a good laugh at these rapture nuts as they believe in another failed rapture. Shalom, family.